did win Temple of Anubis. Now, I think part of that was Spain really failing to adapt, and he was on the high ground of the McCree, basically free-firing, but that goes to show how strong Surefour can be when he's left unchecked.
I mean, and that's really it, right? I mean, I feel like if Canada wants to have any chance, they really need to get Surefour back on that DPS and keep him there. Let him do what he does best.
All right, important stuff to keep in mind as we head into our first match of the day, so I'm going to give it over to our casting team of Mr. X and ZP.
Thank you, Rachel. It's a huge match for Team Canada, ZP. I feel like they have so much more to play for, obviously. You know, losing to Spain yesterday, they're going to make it out of this group. They're going to need to beat Sweden here. And I think the biggest thing, you know, you kind of look at yesterday, it's like Surefour playing that Zarya. When he went to McCree, they played a lot better. You had a chance to catch up to him. What do you have to say?
So I was talking with Surefour, and Surefour kind of came in and said, look, I do play a really good Zarya. He was flexing some roles of his team, but I do think they might have a bit of a different approach going into this year where they might go, okay, maybe we do need Surefour on the DPS classes. But talking to him this morning, he was more on the fence.
Yeah, I feel like they do need him to go DPS for them to beat Sweden. I mean, Sweden has so much firepower. And just to recap, you know, this will be a best-of-3 series. The first map will be Dorado. Second map will be Temple of Anubis. And then the third map, if need be, will be Lijiang Tower. But I think, obviously, Canada, a ton of pressure on them, and I'm going to be really looking at Huck. I know it's kind of been a story we've been talking about with this Canada team, but playing the Reinhardt, he's really got to start making some good decisions.
Well, when you take a look at the matchup that they had yesterday against Spain, we really did see that the tank gameplay gave Spain a lot of advantages where it opened up their DPS to get early pickoffs and really kept Canada on the back foot. But hey, looking right now at Canada, take a look at Surefour. He is opening up here on that Genji, so it does appear like there will be some change-ups.
So it's interesting, right? We have Surefour potentially running Genji here. Obviously, some time for Canada to change their comps on the offensive end. Poke is going to be going over to Zarya, and we saw him mainly play Genji yesterday. That's what he's really comfortable, you know, going with. Now I think it may be even harder for Poke to get going. You know, playing that Zarya, coordination with Huck is going to be huge, as Huck is potentially running Winston. I think it may end up being a little bit harder for Canada now.
It could be harder. The flip side to that, though, is that a really superstar DPS like Surefour is, many people consider him to be one of the very best DPS in the game, can find ways of finding openings and winning team fights that shouldn't be won. So for Canada, they're feeling like the upside of Surefour on Genji outweighs the downside of maybe having a less experienced person on the Zarya.
Yeah, then for Sweden on defense, you'll see Tavik on Reaper and IDDQD on May. Look for those two guys to really be the superstars for this team as we're getting things underway. It's going to be Sweden versus Canada. Canada on the offensive side of things, and we'll actually see ID can run Farah, trying to get some rockets and some damage down on that high ground, ZP, and they're taking a little bit of a flank route here, and I like this play from Canada.
They're putting 4 people all the way to the back. It's going to be Winston, Genji, Mercy, and Farah, all coming on the backside, really avoiding the archway, and this very well could catch Sweden off guard. Also of note here is that Sweden isn't running anything that's going to be crazy good against ID here, so ID is going to have a lot of room to work with until Sweden will eventually swap to a McCree, but the front line just got destroyed. 2 people down immediately, X.
Yeah, now it's going to be even harder on this flank, right? I mean, you came there, you had a good setup, you were going to surprise the side of Sweden, but once your guys on the front line die, there's really nothing you can do but back out. And now you've given up all your secrets here of your Canada. They know you're trying to come from the back. It'll be interesting to see how Sweden plays this. It looks like they're putting a lot more emphasis on the front. They're going to let just the Genji and the Farah of Canada just kind of hang out in the back and wait to deal with those guys later in the fight.
However, you take a look at Canada, they are starting to get Sweden in an awkward position here. Sweden doesn't really care to be where they're at right now. They're flanking around, trying to get a good kill here, but Canada, they're doing this pretty well right now. They've regrouped, they're attacking both sides. If they can just get one pickup, it's going to be huge. As Tavik goes down, ID takes out IDDQD. It's 2 kills here for Canada, and momentum's starting to swing their way.
And ID with 5 HP is going to have Rolf coming in to heal him back up. You see Coco, he's going to be nano boosted for Sweden on the Reinhardt. The rocket barrage comes in quickly, though. Zebasai deals with ID. It's going to be Zebasai with 2 kills on Zarya. It's just Coco getting put to sleep there by Logan the Best, just trying to stay alive. For Canada, you're going to see Huck. He's going to be nano boosted with that Primal Rage Winston. And you see, though, the fight coming down, ZP. Reinforcements coming in for Sweden. They should be able to get a hold here. And you see the big thing here, Tavik switching over to McCree. They needed that to deal with ID's Farah.
they not only needed to deal with the Pharah, but it's also one of the better counters in the game to dealing with the Genji. So now Tavik, he's going to be pulling double duty. He's going to be looking to shut down both Surefour and ID. And ID, he knows that the McCree is in, he knows that the Jig is up, so he is going to be swapping here to the Reaper. Rolf off the Mercy onto Lucio. So Canada swapping to more of a traditional lineup here. And bear in mind, Canada doesn't have too many more attempts at this. This might be the one and only Dragon Blade that Surefour has, so if he uses it here, he's going to need to make the most of it.
Yeah, and they're going to have to really play around. It's the only ultimate up for Team Canada on the side of Sweden. They have nothing in the ultimate categories right now. You can see at the top of your screen, they're just building some of them. You're getting close with IDDQD to a Blizzard, and Zebasai is the closest right now to a Graviton Surge. But Surefour just trying to find a hole in the defense here to use this Dragon Blade, waiting for maybe some frontline heroes to push up, engage, and then he can come in over the top.
So for Canada, it is going to come down to one final team fight here. The biggest resources they have are Dragon Blade and Graviton. Poke is going to have to sub Surefour here, and Surefour is going to go to the back and try and deal with it. They're going to have to deal with the counter Graviton Deadeye, but for Canada, this is going to be their last opportunity as the Graviton does come in.
Yeah, and you do see, though, the Blizzard coming in from IDDQD. Nice reflect there of Surefour into Tavik. Now he's going to pull out the Dragon Blade. He's going to dive on one, able to take out Zay, but quickly dealt with Zebasai, picking up some big kills here as Zarya early. We saw it in the last one. He was able to take out the Pharah ID with the Rocket Barrage, and then now you see he's able to take out the Dragon Blade wielding Surefour. Surefour going to switch over to McCree now with only 40 seconds left. ZP, what's Canada's best approach?
Canada just has to hope to get an early pick off here. They don't have any ults to use. Neither does Sweden, but still rough to go in and attack without ults to open things up. They right now going to block out Canada, keep them pushed back even more. Sweden, they're bending back, and for now, they're just letting Canada come in and winning this poke war a bit. Huck, though, does have the Earth Shatter. Sound Barrier's up. They're going to go for the Sound Barrier, go for the Earth Shatter, and try and break this open right here, right now.
Yeah, so here comes the Sound Barrier from both teams, and now you're really going to be looking at Huck. He uses that Earth Shatter, doesn't get anything for it. It's going to be Zebasai picking up one. You see Surefour doing a nice job just laying down damage. He's sucked into the Graviton Surge, though. You're starting to see kills come in for Sweden. We're going to be going into overtime here. Canada needs to stay alive and needs to get on the payload. The Blizzard comes in from IDDQD, though, on the side of Sweden, and that is it. Canada not really able to get anything going on the offensive end there.
And a big part of that, too, you look at how that game broke down. It's easy to glorify the DPS, but the tank play coming out of Sweden was sublime. Zebasai in particular was playing an incredibly impactful Zarya, was usually the first one to get a kill in most of those fights, was deep in the action, fully charged, and really Canada had no good way of dealing with it for what they were running.
Yeah, it's just really good coordinated tank play from the side of Sweden. I mean, you saw Coco land those Earth Shatters, you saw him nano boosted a few times, picking up some kills, but really Zebasai Zarya, I think, was really key there in the first half.
And the problem here for Canada is that they haven't lost Dorado yet, but they're going to have to come out with an even more impactful defensive hold, which means that X, they cannot lose a single fight. One big team fight loss, that's going to be it. It will be Sweden's map, so a lot of pressure here in Canada in what is already a must-win series.
And it's going to be extremely difficult, right, with the firepower that Sweden has. Maybe you see Tavik go over and use something like a Hanzo and try and get a pick early, and that would really kind of end things there for Canada, so they have to be very careful on the defensive end here.
Well, speaking of that, Hanzo, Tavik does love running it here on this map, and that appears to be what we're going to be seeing here. Tavik will be the Hanzo IDDQD on the McCree, so you're going to have a double burst threat here, where Tavik, of course, very good at getting those early pickoffs, and so is IDDQD, where just 2 taps from McCree can oftentimes end a character's life, so Sweden going to be running that double threat, and for Canada, they must play perfectly here, or Dorado is going to go the way of Sweden.
Oh, and I feel like Canada is in such an odd situation where, like, Surefour knows he can play a very good competent Zarya, and it probably makes Poke a little bit more comfortable, able to run that Genji all the time. But I feel like, after seeing it yesterday, you need that DPS damage from Surefour, that consistent top flight DPS characters who are playing at a high level for Canada to win. And I think it's just really kind of thrown off their compositions and everything they practiced, quite frankly, up until this point, kind of thrown everything out the window. It's going to be Sweden here on offense. They do not have to get the payload very far to win this one. Be on board with Tavik here. It's Hanzo trying to get some sight here early. Now we'll see if he can get a pick. If he can get a pick, I expect Sweden to just push right on through. And Hanzo's also great for breaking that Reinhardt shield up top.
Well, that's one thing you see with these Hanzo compositions, where once you do get that early pickup, the team will be way more aggressive and push in because they do have that numerical advantage. And Tavik right now, just rolling to the top right now, looking for the scatter arrow, throwing it in. And again, not a whole lot of pressure here on Sweden either. They have multiple attempts at this and not a long way to go.
But I feel like they're just giving, like Canada's just giving Sweden so much room here, ZP, to just get up so close to where they need to squirt that payload. It's going to be Huck getting a first big kill, but now you see Tavik with the Dragon Strike. He's going to use that ultimate, and he's not going to be able to get anything with it. It's going to be ID, and Logan the Best picking up some kills there for Canada. So Canada gets an early hold here, ZP, but I feel like they can't give up that much room on the map to this Sweden team. Eventually they're going to burn them and win it.
And the scary thing here is that the payload is far enough up that there will be situations where even though the fight could still be in progress and Canada could be winning it, Sweden could still sneak it through. So they have to keep an eye on that as well. Really for Sweden, I think all they have to do here, wait for some ultimates to come up, look for a Dragon Strike into Graviton, and that might be all they need. Certainly if they take out Surefour early in the fight, I don't think Canada's going to be able to withstand, but about 3 minutes left here, a little under here for Sweden. They have plenty of time.
Yeah, Sweden has an eternity to work with. You see IDDQD putting down some shots here as McCree trying to just get some good poke damage and then potentially push in to try and finish off a player. Logan, the best on the side of Canada, has that nano boost, and ID, actually he drops. I was going to say he would have been the nano boost target, but when he falls, they're going to have to try and give that over to Huck now on Reinhardt, and you see IDQD coming in, knocking down some shots on McCree. They have Poke low, but Poke's able to win that engagement. Logan, the best, doing a good job in the backline, able to heal up the rest of his teammates, and now you're going to see Huck nano boosted on Reinhardt. Do you think they really need to use that in this fight? It looked like the fight was kind of over.
The fight was kind of over, but I'm sure the way their comms were going there is that they didn't really realize it was as over as it was, especially in the heat of the moment. I mean, they're here in person. They know that this is a must-win game. You're going to have some nerves come out here where I do agree that was a bit wasted, and now you take a look here at Sweden. Dragon Strike is on the table. Nano Boost is here. Deadeye is here. Graviton soon to be here. Canada about to face their harshest test here in just a moment, as holding this is going to be difficult.
Yeah, so you'll have chips with the Nano Boost for Sweden. Look for that potentially going on Coco. They have a sound barrier as well, and then Zebasai getting dangerously close to that Graviton Surge. So now that he gets that Graviton, look for that Dragon Strike and Graviton Surge combination you were talking about. You can see the bottom left-hand side of your screen, Tavik's POV here. So he's just laying down some shots at range, and you see his teammates coming from the staircase. You see the Graviton come in. Here comes the Dragon Strike. There's 3 players inside of it for Canada. It's going to be 2 quick kills going in favor of Sweden. Surefour doing all he can, but guess what? Zebasai is actually down on the payload, and he actually just escorts it all the way. Nobody there to contest for Canada.
And the unfortunate thing there for Canada is that if they had a little bit more room to work with, say that if they had to just hold on first, right, compared to a normal situation, I think Surefour had the potential of bringing that back. He was still in good health, good position.